This is the Team Objection podcast for July 16th, 2020, episode 445. And we're going to get back to the thing that we said we were going to do before, and this time it's actually going to happen. The second half of our picks of the best picks of the best Pixar movies. The second half of them, the ones that have been released more recently. We went through them basically in chronological order, knocked out a bunch of them all the way through Toy Story 3. Now we have the back half where there are going to be several disappointing things that pop up, and not as many that we lavish praise on.
I do need to bring this up because I didn't get a chance last time on air, but I was correct that the goddamn lamp wasn't Sesame Street. I'm never correct. I am going to enjoy the moment.
It's a first for him, and you know what? I'm gonna hold this L, and you enjoy it.
I am enjoying it.
This L, you got to do it the other way. There you go. Thank you.
I used my left hand.
I understand, and you made a wonderful backwards L.
But I mean, really, let's all take a moment and pause in our day and give it a moment of silence for how incredible.
The Incredibles is, I know.
Like a miracle, like it goes beyond, it transcends what it means to be human. That I remembered from youth this short on one episode of Sesame Street. Let's just take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't.
You sighed in your moment of silence, but it was close.
I mean, I just can't even get over the hyperbole. The amount of hyperbole.
There's no hyperbole, and there's nothing superfluous either. It is all. I used exactly how many words as I needed to.
What the viewer and or listener should understand was how much more excitement there was when he first discovered this fact a few weeks ago. It was just after we finished the episode, I think. Mm-hmm. There, his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree.
I'm playing it off, like those coaches that are like, act like you've been there before, like to their teams when they win a tournament. I'm acting like I've been there before, but when the moment happened, I was not acting like I've been there before. I was acting like it was a first because it was.
Well, you were acting like you basically were shaking up the champagne bottle and spraying it all over yourself when it first happened.
I was so excited. I was like reading. I was like shaking. My voice was quivering. I was like, I didn't get this nervous when I proposed,
There was what appeared to be a baby spider on the microphone, so that's gone now.
Oh, well, that's where you want it, right? Where you're speaking in the mouth.
Yeah. You were doing that thing, I think, Sigourney, gosh, I can't remember his name. The girl who's in Stranger Things. Did it like at the awards ceremony where she was like,
"Oh, Winona Ryder."
Winona Ryder, yeah. She was like just shocked. That's what you looked like, Chris.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking over like, wait, what am I seeing here? What's moving in my peripheral vision? This shouldn't be movement on the microphone stand.
That's terrifying.
So sorry, that one had to die.
Oh man.
Well, you can't stop the show to put them outside.
Look, when spiders keep to themselves, I don't kill them anymore. I respect your guys' wishes. The one that was on my towel near the shower, that one died. This one died. Stick in your lane and you're fine. We'll coexist.
Ooh, I have a story about saving animals. So we have traps set up in our garage to catch scorpions in case any try to come in, because I live in Phoenix and I'm a stereotypical desert dweller. And a gecko lizard got caught in one of those traps. And so my wife and I opened up the trap and was able to pry the gecko off and got it off the sticky part. And as soon as it hit the ground off the sticky trap, it bolted as fast as it possibly could away. But I saved its life, so I felt good about that.
Those traps you should try a different kind of trap. I've heard sticky traps aren't good.
I mean, they work on insects, so.
Well, I know, but that's like sad because they just like sit there and immobilize to death.
That's true, but scorpions deserve that fate because scorpions are evil.
I feel like I remember a Sunday school class one time where they were like, all animals are made like under God's like whatever, except scorpions. Those are made by the devil. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. But I'm pretty sure that's what they were teaching back in Kingman Sunday school.
Scorpions are awful. So
scorpions were rejected, but the devil pulled the design out of the trash can. And I was like, I don't know, this is all seems really strange.
But it makes sense in a certain level, right? Like, you're like, that doesn't sound correct, but I could see it being correct because scorpions are assholes.
Yeah.
Pixar.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like a weapon of death,
Mm-hmm. And they sting. It hurts so much when they sting. My mom got stung by one once, and she's like, it's not the most pain I've ever felt because I've given birth and stuff, but like, it's just, intensely painful for a pretty lasting amount of time.
That's terrifying.
Knock on wood, never got stung yet. So
They look terrifying. They hurt. Every piece of them is painful and poisonous.
Mhm.
Although it's sad when like they're getting attacked by those like giant what do you call them, like ferrets or whatever. Kangaroo rats, my assistant is telling me. And it's like this giant rodent, and the scorpion's like, please no, and it's just like
that
scary.
sounds awesome. I want to watch that.
Yeah, go look it up.
I kind of
Animal
feel
Kingdom.
I kind of feel bad for any of those spots where something's getting attacked, even if it deserves it. It's kind of just weird watching something get like ripped to shreds by other animals or whatever it might be. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I thought about, we went hiking this weekend. I thought about getting eaten alive by a bear. I thought about being Leonardo DiCaprio. You know that movie where everybody was like, "Why is the bear raping Leo?" And I was like,
yes, Catch Me If You Can,
guys, it's that's not it's not
That's
a
right,
thing that's
Inception.
happening.
It was
But
Inception.
yeah, they like kept him alive to try to feed him to his cubs.
Hmm.
And I was like, could you imagine?
You know, the way you said that, it sounded like I went up to the wood, I went hiking, and then I thought about being eaten by a bear. The way you said that made it sound like, I considered the fact that I should make myself get eaten by a bear.
I
Like, no, that was an interesting thought.
just
you had.
lay
no, I
there.
can think of a lot better ways to go than, because I feel like bears are really mean. Like cats are gonna just like rip your throat out quickly.
Bears will toy with you.
Bears, you're like a doll to
Mhm.
them. They have fun.
I wanted really badly to take this opportunity to segue, but unfortunately, Brave is the second movie on our list chronologically. It is not the first. We won't spend much time talking about the first, I don't think. But let's use it as a launch pad anyways to get into it. Because
Yeah, I was gonna say it worked as a segue anyway. So.
yeah, it did. It was okay. It's
Yeah.
just we know last time we went a little long talking about each of these. I think we'll have a little less to say in this segment because I'm looking at the list. But Cars 2, aka History's Greatest Mistake.
So I don't know if there was a Pixar movie in the first bunch that I didn't watch. Actually, I think I've seen them all. And
Yeah.
immediately today, and this will be a trend. I haven't seen all of Cars 2. I saw the first. Okay, I'm gonna be really honest with you. I saw the part where there's a spy car now for some reason, and it's Michael Caine,
Michael Caine.
and it goes on it goes on a mission. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, you're dead on right. This is the dumbest thing made by Pixar. They decided that Mater was going to be the main character and do a spy mission. And what would you like more than redneck going on a British James Bond movie?
I did.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
I didn't even know. Like, I didn't know enough of the movie to not know that Lightning McQueen wasn't the main character again.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the idea is like Lightning and Mater are friends, and Lightning McQueen's won all these, championships and everything, and Mater keeps getting in the way, and it's like, yeah, Mater was his friend because they actually got along, and now Mater's just an annoying asshole who ruins everything, and now he's going on a spy mission because he got accidentally wrapped up in it. It's just garbage. It's so bad. I didn't finish it, and I don't want to finish it.
It reminds me of the next two the Hangover movies, where you had Zach Galifianakis. He had some redeeming qualities in the first one. Like, he had his moments. And then in the next two, they're like, you know what? Same character, but no, he's not going to do anything good. He's just going to be like an evil, kind of like rotten person. And you're like, well, then I don't like his character anymore.
Yeah.
That's Mater.
Actually, the crazy thing is Cars 1, 2, and 3 actually follow a very similar slope to the Hangover 1, 2, and 3, I think.
That's fair, and I didn't want to really consider the parallels between the two movies, but I think they exist.
That's
I mean,
bizarre.
just in the feeling and the tropes that repeat throughout the movies, it's actually like, oh, whoa, there's actually some similarities there. Anyway, it's garbage. It sucks. It's last on my list.
This is my clear-cut pick for the worst one they've ever done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's a couple other ones we're going to talk about on this very list today that I think are not very good, but to me, it's Cars 2 by a mile.
I'm not
racing.
ready to do that yet, but it's a strong consideration. We'll see how I feel. How much, you don't know how visceral or your disgust is going to be until you actually start talking about it. So
True.
we'll get there.
That's fair. I don't think I'm going to budge on this one, but we'll see. Maybe we're going to get to like Inside Out. I'm going to decide I hate it all of a sudden. I don't.
Yeah.
So, for some people, that was the beginning of the end. There are some people who like the juvenile and, frankly, offensively stupid humor in Cars 2 and like Cars 2 in general. Or maybe they're just big Larry the Cable Guy fans. I don't know. So, some people fell off the wagon there, and some more people fell off the wagon at Brave.
I like Brave. So I finally get to have like a hot take because with Pixar, a lot of it, it's like everybody likes all of them. They're all great.
I like Toy Story 3. Whoa, easy there, pal.
Yeah. But Brave I actually enjoyed. Like I didn't think it was amazing, but I found I didn't know anything going into it. So the mother turning into a bear, whoa, didn't see that coming. And I thought it was charming and like fine. Like I thought Brave was similar in enjoyment to like Ratatouille for me. Like it was good. I enjoyed myself.
This is the only one on the list that could move up on my rankings list because this is the only one I haven't seen. Out of the entire 22 movies we're covering, this is the one I haven't seen. So I put it.
Talk to me about why.
Cars 2 because it can't be worse.
Yeah, well, why is this the only one you haven't seen?
To say, what is it? Just like you haven't wanted to show it to the kids, and then like have you been filling in gaps with the ones you haven't seen by watching with the kids? Like why? So we know you don't watch a ton of movies to begin with. It's been kind of a running gag for 450 episodes, but you've seen damn near all of these. So I guess the question is, how have you avoided Brave to this point?
I don't know. I guess it just came out at the right time in which I didn't. I didn't see it when it came out in theaters, and then I didn't hear good things about it, so I just never went and seeked it out. I just kind of said,
So this is weird to me because, Chris, share your thoughts on the movie, but I'm going to look up, like, I don't think its Rotten Tomatoes score, for example, is bad. I think it's a good movie.
I would imagine it's up there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right that the score is probably not that bad. But the problem was if you go through 1 through 11 here of the movies that had come out, all of them were awesome. And Cars 2 I don't count because it was a sequel, and it's kind of like, sequel, whatever. A sequel sucks. This is the first one that didn't get glowing reviews by everybody, and not everybody loved it. So I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong.
It's at 78%, which is like really quite good for movies, but not so good for Cars movies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine. Pixar. I called it Disney earlier. It's fine. We're all falling apart. I'm burnt to a crisp. Everything's fine. Yeah, I think
that's fine.
I think it's sort of along the lines of what Dave said, to where the first half of these I saw almost all of them immediately, and when the ones I didn't, I filled in quickly afterwards. And damn near all of them are memorable and masterpieces. There's A Bug's Life, but you can't win them all. Do you get down here? And Cars 2, I didn't really like the first Cars to begin with that much. I thought it was fine, but I wasn't excited about a sequel. I skipped it. Didn't watch it at the time. I've watched it since. So we get to Brave, and like you said, the first non-sequel on the list where I kind of go, because I like Ratatouille more than most. So for me, everything else up to that point's been like A+, A+, and we get to Brave, and it's like B-.
Yeah.
It's good. There's nothing really wrong about it. I think it just kind of didn't. It had such a pedigree to develop by even that point where it was like, is this Pixar's first misstep? And it's like, no. So they had like an above-average movie instead of a masterpiece. Is
it
that
doesn't
so
really
bad?
stay with you, though. Like Toy Story 3, you've been thinking like, I can't believe they were going to kill. If you went on a bathroom break at the end of the movie, you thought all the toys died. Like, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
And in Brave, you're like, okay, that was good. And then you forgot about it immediately. You never thought about it again. Except if you had a chance to change your fate. That's it. And I don't think that's like a praise.
The only thing I know about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the memorable stuff is what hurts it. It's a perfectly acceptable movie, but we can sit here and talk about moments and the other 10, not counting Bug's Life, like the Toy Story 3 thing, like Up's opening, like things that just resonated and will always resonate with us. And Brave, I'm like, it was good.
Yeah.
I like that one part, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I like the part where her mom was a bear. What? That was crazy.
So we have now reached the first one on the list that I haven't seen. There are 3 out of the 22 that I have never seen. One of them is Onward because it just came out and I haven't bothered to try it out yet. But this is
good.
Yeah, I'm not really excited about it, to be perfectly honest with you. We'll see.
About what?
Onward, which we'll get to, I guess.
Oh, we'll get to. Dave, stop jumping the gun.
Yeah. But the first one that I have not seen on this list, because I also don't really love the original, is Monsters University.
Dave, I would like to hear your take first.
He loves it.
I liked it a lot, and I think the reason why I liked it a lot was
he's mimicking putting a gun in his mouth. He's blowing his brains
Shaun
out.
commits suicide. That's great. No, the reason I liked it a lot is because I like when a movie can successfully subvert your expectations in certain things and still kind of make sense. And I think this movie did a really good job of showing how the characters got to know each other and kind of got to where they were going, but they really went this roundabout way that was entertaining to kind of see how they got to the point where they got to when you're in Monsters Inc. So I just there's some cheesy jokes and it's not fantastic, but I didn't dislike it, and I kind of liked what they did with the characters overall.
I wanted Dave to be like, every once in a while movies come around, they subvert your expectations. Monsters University isn't one of them. As a matter of fact, it really follows beat for beat pretty much exactly. Because that's how I felt. So sometimes a movie is bad, but you really like it. Like The Room, for example. Sometimes a movie is like, I am physically not enjoying myself in the theater right now. And that's how I felt with Monsters University. And I don't know why, because it's not like an Adam Sandler movie where they're like, let's make fun of Native Americans, and that's the joke. Where, you're just like assaulted. Like, it's not like that. It's fine. But I found this so boring, so redundant in everything. Like, it's a story. Talking about stories don't need to be told. This was one of them, I felt like. And all the jokes, I thought so many of them were so, like, on the nose. Like, oh, wow, so clever. I wish I could think of an example, but I can't because I remember I liked the last 10 minutes when they, like, go through the portal and they're, like, in the forest or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. For 10 minutes, it was worth my money, but everything else was like, this is so... like soul sucking. I felt like my soul was being drained through the screen.
See, I kind of liked the message of it in a way of, and this is going to sound wrong, but like so often you grow up hearing you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. Just try hard and you'll get there. Well, the whole message of the movie is, Mike Wazowski tried as hard as he could and worked as absolutely hard as he could. And because of who he wasn't able to get exactly what he wanted. He was able to find something that he wanted eventually. And I think that's actually kind of an important message in a way, is you could try your hardest and work your ass off every day and want it so bad, but sometimes wanting it isn't enough. And that's what happened in that movie. And on the flip side, you could have the guy who's handed everything, like Sullivan was, and oops, he blew it because he was an idiot and didn't try hard. So there's both sides of that in this movie. And I guess that's probably part of the reason I liked it.
This is going to be difficult to critique from the person who hasn't seen it, but just from looking at it from the outside, it was sort of along the lines of what Shaun said, where it was like, I don't know that I watched the first movie thinking, I wonder how these two got together. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on there with these guys? Where did they come from? Like, what's the history? I bet it's fun. What happened with it? Was it fun? And then that's not to say they executed it poorly or anything, because again, I haven't seen it. It seems like a perfectly inoffensive, harmless enough movie. But to me, as somebody who didn't love the first one, I'm like, I don't need to know why Mike's the way he is. He's kind of obnoxious. I don't know if that's the Billy Crystal in him, or if that's just the Mike. I think it's the Billy Crystal in him, where I was like, I don't need him to tell me even more grating jokes. I'm just not a big Billy Crystal guy. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is like I separate the message. Wreck-It Ralph 2, great example, or Ralph Breaks the Internet, or whatever stupid name it had.
Mm-hmm.
Great message, really, about like sometimes people grow apart, and like you can still be friends, but you don't have to. Like all the movies show, we've decided to live our entire lives together, never leaving this town. Like sometimes that's okay. Great message. Not a good movie though.
Garbage movie, yeah.
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 Well, that's.
I was unfair to Rock. You liked it. I'll give it another chance. But when I first saw it in theaters, I don't know if it was just the mood I was in or whatever, but I did not enjoy it.
You're not going to love it if you watch it again, but you might not despise it. So.
It's fair. I think it's something I will watch at some point because again, it's not like it's garbage. Like Cars 2, I'll never watch again. Period. Yep. Full stop. Not happening. Monsters U, I never gave a chance, and I feel like I would at some point if I'm in the right mood for it. So, someday.
At least this movie didn't frustrate me like the next one.
Yeah, this is where now me and Shaun are going to come to loggerheads. Unlike it was Dave and Shaun before.
Right here, sorry, I got my hand this way. So this side of the picture here is going to be in favor, and it looks like the other side is not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found it extremely frustrating, and
he hates one character in particular. Should we stop mousing around and actually say what the title is and then go into it?
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's Inside Out.
And it was a fine movie. Yeah, it was fine. Like everything was fine. So I think the problem that I had was like there was nothing that really like resonated with me a tremendous amount. A lot of things were like good and it was fine, but I got so frustrated with the depression, the sadness. I think was what was her name? Was it Sadness?
Yeah.
And I know, and everybody's like, that was the point, you idiot. And I was like, I know that was the point. It doesn't mean it didn't frustrate me. It's like in those movies where like the plot happens because somebody does something stupid because they had to do it to get the plot to be there. I know that it has to happen, and I know that that's the character. That's what depression, there's a message there. It still was like so grating to me. It bothered me so much. And maybe that means I'm just a bad person, and I'm willing to accept that. But I left this movie thinking like that was an enjoyable but extremely frustrating time at the theater.
I'm glad that you called yourself out on that because I was about to say, well, Shaun, that was the point.
But here's the problem, though, because this is the one part I certainly agree with him. She is the most annoying character in that film, and maybe that's by design, but Anger has his share of issues and does a few dumb things that push the point along, but I don't ever know that I found myself going, man, I wish you'd stop being angry. So maybe that just speaks to a societal's framing of depression or something much larger than this. I don't know. But I can at least see where he's coming from, where I'm like, yeah, like she is a total downer. Maybe by design, maybe not. But just because something is clever or appropriate or fitting doesn't necessarily mean that it's entertaining to go through. So I get that. You said nothing resonated with you. Does that mean Bing Bong didn't resonate with you? Because if that didn't make you feel anything, you can fuck right off.
I don't know. I think by that point, I was like out of it. I was like, oh, I can see why this is a cool character. But like I was already, and to be fair, the Sadness character got me there, but I still felt frustration. Anytime the characters were sabotaging themselves, I started getting like, ugh. So that included Anger and like anyone else. And
even Joy.
And even Joy, yeah, started getting like, Jesus. And I get it because that's just how it works. That's like human emotions.
They don't get to have other emotions. They are what they are.
It was a great analysis for that reason. But like Last of Us 2 right now, you're playing it and you're like, wow, this is really difficult. It's terrible. All this stuff. It's good, but like you're not like feeling joy while you play it. And it was like this thing. It's like I have these conflicted emotions while I'm watching this movie.
That's well the thing, I don't know if you can watch it from this perspective. If you watch it realizing that Joy is basically the villain of the movie, it'll flip your head upside down on this movie.
It'll blow your fucking mind. Yeah,
really, if you watch from the point of all Joy wants is what she wants. The whole movie, because she's Joy. Obviously, everyone wants to be happy. And if you watch it from that perspective, it's like she's actually ruining everything by forcing exactly what she wants onto everybody. It has just a different perspective on it. I don't know, because you're right. Sadness is extremely annoying the entire movie, but there's a point to it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't hate the movie, and I kind of like when I watch it from that angle. I like it.
It's a top 5 for me. I don't know why it resonated so much with me. Maybe it was just. I don't know what it was exactly. Something about the fact that they were able to kind of line this out in such an interesting, metaphorical, but yet literal way stuck with me. And I did not expect to give a damn about Bing Bong, but I'll be damned if that scene doesn't get me every damn time.
Yep.
I love the girl joke at the end.
Yeah, girl.
And everything, the systems are all freaking out and failing. It's like, yeah, no, that seems about right. Yeah, that's how I remember middle school being. It was not good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's like Pan's Labyrinth for me. Where like you can like study this movie. There's actually a lot of thought that went into it. It's very good, but like the same thing with Pan's Labyrinth. It's not an enjoyable experience for me to sit through it. And maybe that should be my only metric. I was in a weird place. Maybe I'm just in a weird place when I watch Pixar movies. A lot of them.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And you know what? I think the same is going to be true of Last of Us 2, which we'll talk about on the show at some point when Shaun beats it, because Dave and I, even not having played it, can talk about some of the bigger issues that has sparked. But I know, just from reading about the game, that it's an intense downer, and some people love reveling in that emotion, and that's fine. That's not for me. I will not walk out of that going, I enjoyed playing that game. Even if the message is really strong and the story is super solid, I don't like that stuff. So, like, for me, I'm not going to enjoy it. So, different strokes, I suppose. Let's talk for about 30 seconds about The Good Dinosaur, because I think that's all it deserves.
I have nothing to say. I'd be interested in how it is. I've never seen it.
I did.
So,
why? Why is it so bad?
It just... we talked about how
It's
Brave did
nothing.
nothing to stand out. Somehow the
Yeah.
Good Dinosaur did like 30% of Brave.
Mm-hmm. It's just nothing memorable, no feeling to me.
I'm not even
Nothing.
entirely sure why. We just talked about a movie where we have personified emotions,
Mhm.
and this is just dinosaurs. It's not like it's that far afield from what Pixar has done in other stuff. I mean, the family stuff was okay, but I just
If
nothing
they
about it
can't
really
make
didn't.
characters that you care about, I mean, they're Pixar. That's like what they excel at. Like they can make you
Mhm.
care in those shorts more than most movies make you care in their entirety. So that seems like a big misfire from them.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to necessarily be positive caring, because you cared about Sadness quite a bit. You hated her, but she stuck out to you more than anything in this movie will ever.
So what's interesting to me is I completely believe both of you, and I have kind of heard this from people too. It's like the Good Dinosaur. That's like the worst one. 76% Rotten Tomatoes. So like it's just under Brave. But the word of mouth, I feel like anecdotal is so much worse.
Yeah, that's all we got. There's nothing more to say. It was just not good.
I mean, it's fine. Again, it's not a bad movie, but I saw it in theaters and I walked out going, eh?
Someone who's listening, their favorite movie is The Good Dinosaur. And not only do we trash it, we don't
Mhm.
even have like anything to say.
No.
He's like, Shaun didn't even watch it. And David and Chris didn't even talk about it. Poor guy.
They're
Or gal.
anticipating it through a whole episode and a half.
Okay, movie 2 I haven't seen. Finding Dory.
No!
Good, another fight. But
Stop!
reverse now. Stop.
Dave, why?
Because God, so many reasons. You suspend your disbelief in Pixar movies, obviously. Fish don't talk, I get that. You have to suspend your disbelief to another dimension when an octopus starts driving a semi-truck. And not to mention, or a clownfish crosses the entire Atlantic Ocean from Sydney, Australia to Los Angeles. Do you know how big the Pacific Ocean is? Huge.
You know how small a
Not to mention-
clownfish is? Tiny.
Tiny. And also, and the cherry on top, Nemo is an asshole to his dad the entire movie. Marlin learned all these different things, and he tones it down as far as being overprotective, and Nemo's just a dick the whole movie. I hated it.
I actually don't remember that part. I just remember Dory in the thing, and I was like, this is really sad. And then the octopus was cool.
I mean, look, earlier in the same series with the whole Toy Story branch, I mean, they drive a car.
I know.
It's pretty ludicrous. But at least you can kind of parse it down and be like, okay, they're working together and they're sort of making this happen. It's silly, but at least it's like borderline believable. The octopus thing, I'm just like, what are we doing? What's happening?
Well, and it's very generic. The ending is very generic to the point where, like, it's like they plugged it into a formula where, like, we need everybody to do something. So, like, there's the whales. They're like, I'll use my special ability. Boom, boom. And they do a thing. And you're like, okay, I guess. But it seems like rather than being a satisfying conclusion, you're just, like, checking boxes. But so I didn't love the movie, but I definitely, 2 thumbs down. Certainly not. That's, like, reserved for, like,
Brave.
Cars 2.
It's on my list. It's clumped in with Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Bug's Life Onward. Like, it's absolutely bottom half.
This is middle tier for me. It's middle. Maybe bottom of the middle, but middle for sure.
We mentioned this in the first part, but it bears repeating that the problem with this and Cars 2 is side character, cute in small amounts, very overexposed when leading a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dory's spiel is grating when it's put in this amount.
The saving grace is Baby Dory, because that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that prints money. It turns out baby versions of a lot of things just print money automatically. We saw that with Yoda. It's a known fact now. We just have to accept it.
Yep, it's true. But oh my God, little baby Dory going, just don't go near the undertow, or stay. God, I can't remember the rhyme, but when we see the undertow, we say, "Let's go." No, Dory, it's heck no.
I don't have a lot to say about Cars 3 either. We're going to get to some that I actually have more to say about as we get towards the back end of this list, the more recent ones. But Cars 3, I was like, well, at least it's not Cars 2.
I heard it was like a redemption kind of, because it was a lot better than Cars 2.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly miles better than Cars 2. Yes, no question.
Isn't it again, I haven't seen this one. Isn't it like almost like an analysis of someone at the end of their career now.
Yeah.
And
That
that's
sounds
like,
cool to me on paper.
it was coming to terms with the time that you loved in your life has ended, and you need to move on to the next chapter of your life. And that's what Lightning McQueen had to go through, was understanding that he was getting older. He couldn't win all these races that he did in the past, and this new crop of people were coming in. He was going to have to figure out a way to be okay with that and move on to something where he could start helping other people. And it wasn't fantastic, but it was leaps and bounds better than Cars 2.
I actually really want to watch like a lot of this list, like Good Dinosaur. I haven't seen it, don't need to. That's really the case with a few of these. Cars 3 I actually would like to see. I'm watching The Last Dance for the drinking game for the amount of times we mentioned that. And it's amazing to me. You're watching these players absolute top of the world. Like it's not hyperbole with this team. Like they are the most, and like it's over. It's just fascinating to me to watch them on the top of everything. And now looking back, and like they don't have it anymore, obviously, because they're older. But I don't know. It's just, that really resonates with me a lot. Is like that, how amazing it is that you look at people who in Hollywood. We watched Jaws this weekend. Steven Spielberg is like nearing the end of his career now. And that was when he was like just getting started. And it's like you work for all the success and to do all these accomplishments, and then like it's over. It's crazy.
And isn't it weird to have a defined peak that's already in your rearview mirror? Like the three of us, I think all of us hope that, like, we've had moments that have been highs to this point, but there's probably like something else up in the future that's going to be even bigger, right? Like some big job promotion or some opportunity, whatever it might be. In 1998, Michael Jordan has to know, like, I'm retiring. We just won another three-peat. Like, it's not going to get better than this. What this moment is past, that's it. It's downhill from here. That's got to be a strange feeling.
Yeah.
That's why I always feel so bad for those like high school football players in Texas who peak at 17.
Yeah.
Like that's the best it's ever going to be in life. No wonder so many of them end up so horribly later in life.
Yeah, because you're like revered in those smaller towns because football's life there. So you're like the king of the world. You're the star high school quarterback. You got the girlfriend. And you read stories about how like 3 years later they've dropped out of college and they're nothing.
Yeah.
Because when you peak at 17, what the hell do you do?
But that's the kind of thing that like makes me really actually interested to watch this Cars movie of like actually examining, coming to terms with that. I'm not aware of. You didn't get interviews from Michael Jordan being like, okay, you're out of the league for like a year. Like how was that going? What did you struggle with? And so a movie doing that, I don't know. I think it's cool. It's a weird reason, but I am actually really interested in watching Cars 3.
It was not a horrible movie. I enjoyed it.
Next up on the list is Coco, which I think is way up on some people's lists and is not going to be here, which is not to say I disliked it. It's definitely in my upper half for sure. And the one thing I will definitely say for it is it has way more heart than the majority of the stuff we started out this segment with. It solves that problem where we had those earlier ones where it's like, I just don't know if I feel it. The familial connections in that movie, that's something that definitely resonates with me. The songs are good. I will tell you, though, even though I think it is a good movie, it's not one that really stuck out to me personally. I see why people think it's really good, and I go, it's all right. It's nice.
It's nice. That's like the best. That's the best word I can think of. Because the plot, I think it was the plot for me. I wasn't that pulled in. I don't know. Like, again, I don't know if it's just I'm getting older and I'm watching these movies. Maybe that's it. But we'll see when Toy Story 4 comes around. But like, I just feel like maybe it's been there, done that kind of thing. And like, they're not surprising me anymore. It's like, okay, this is a pretty standard Pixar, like, progression of events. And it's better than most because they do have that heart and the music is good and the visuals are amazing. And I like the diversity and the different cultural things that they introduce in this one. That's all great. But the newness isn't there anymore, and I'm wondering if that is a part of it.
Which is funny because this is top 3 for me. I absolutely loved this movie. I mean, it is, to me, I mean, like you said, the diversity of it. For some reason, for me, Dia de los Muertos is one of like the coolest traditions that's outside, obviously, my culture. That I look at, I'm just like, man, I wish I did that. That looks awesome. Like, it looks like such a cool festival, a cool just tradition overall. The songs are amazing. It's strange that in a movie where they go to the land of the dead, there's nobody died that's like a big central plot turning point for the main character. Nobody, like his dad didn't die, his brother didn't die. Like so many Pixar movies has, oh, the dad died, that type of thing. That didn't happen in this movie, which I thought was kind of funny in a way. And I don't know if I would have liked this movie as much before I had kids, and I don't know if maybe that does it, but that when they're singing the last Remember Me, I can't not tear up. It's so moving in so many ways. I don't know what it just like the knowing what that song means to a father and a daughter is just like it hits me so hard right in the heart.
I don't like the villain.
I can agree with that.
I liked that he was I liked that
Yeah.
twist.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
I can agree with that. It is one of the weaker points, but I don't know. The family coming together, understand the importance of family is I like it for that reason.
The one thing I will say it has hugely in its favor is that this came out around the same time as Black Panther, and it's reductive to be like, well, this was the first movie where you could see Mexican culture, and be like, oh, no, that's not really true. And the same thing with Black Panther. It's like, that was the first time. But we know from just seeing people's reactions that for a lot of people, this was their first time in a blockbuster movie seeing their cultures on display and people who looked like them. Now, it's a little weird in the case of Coco because it's animated, but still, seeing a setting that looked like something they were familiar with instead of it being what everybody's used to in white-dominated Hollywood, both of those deserve a lot of credit for what they did and just being able to be like, look, you can see yourself in a film now. Maybe that gets more people into filmmaking or acting or telling stories. And if that's the case, that's awesome. And good for them for being willing to devote an entire movie to something that I have to imagine on the pitch level was kind of like, okay, that's interesting, but do we really think there's going to be an audience for it?
Mm-hmm. It's funny to me because I don't know, as a white male American, I don't feel like I have any cool traditions or anything like that. And anything that has a lot of meaning and tradition. I've got Christmas, I grew up Catholic, so I don't know. But then I see other cultures and I'm like, oh, man, I want to take part in that because that looks awesome. It looks like you learn more about it. It looks awesome.
The statement won't make any sense because you can't do an equivalent, but if anything, the cultural part of this movie is what added any sort of interest. You can't do a white American version of it because it's so tied to the culture, and I get that. But the fact that it was exploring that was so much more interesting to me. So that was cool, and I do hope that it happens more. Dave, you have Thanksgiving. We can make a Thanksgiving movie. I'm sure there would be nothing wrong with a Thanksgiving movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then you just dive into the history. Oh, shit. Let's not dive into the history of it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Great holiday. We did it, everybody.
Stuff your face and get drunk, guys. That's America.
So, this is probably... The next one is my most disappointing movie in the list. And it's because all three of us really like the original and or love the original. And this is another one where I'm like, this is not bad. I'm happy these characters are back in my lives. It just doesn't feel like it really landed the same way the first one did in almost any area. It's Incredibles 2. And to me, I'm like, I don't think it was a waste of time. Some people are like, they shouldn't even bother making it. It's still a good movie. It tells an interesting story. It's nice to catch up with them and see how things are changing as they go forward. I don't know if it's the villain who you can see from a mile away, or the fact that I don't really enjoy almost any of the new characters, or it's more Jack, which I don't need. Something about this just didn't hit with me, and I wish I understood what it was.
Yeah, I can agree with you fully on that. I liked some of the new characters, but as soon as you meet them, immediately they become bad guys because this overreaching, all-powerful hypnosis that the bad guy has the entire movie. It's like, oh, well, great. She can just turn anybody against you instantly by putting a pair of goggles in front of their face. That was where it really fell apart for me. I understand that being part of it, but then when they captured everybody but the kids, it's like, okay, I don't know. It did not sit well with me.
This is going to sound terrible, and I'm getting into some dangerous territory, but I really did, and I don't usually feel this way, I promise. I felt like I could hear the gears grinding of it's 2000 whatever. We have to put the female as the hero, and she has to be at the forefront, and the guy has to be in the background, and this is the movie we're making. And like, that's fine, and I support it, but it just felt so forced that it almost like detracted from me. And I was like, in the first one, she had like the doting wife thing, and she got slapped in the face, and then she became a total badass. And I was like, you still did that really cool thing, that very empowering thing, in a way that was organic to the story. And it just, I didn't feel that here.
And that's funny, because from a plot point, it actually made sense. It's like, no, we need to put Elastigirl up front because Mr. Incredible, you destroy everything, you dumbass.
Right? Yeah,
It made sense from a plot point, but you're right. It felt like it was like, we have to push this in and like hit you over the head with it. When you're right, in Incredibles 1, she was the housewife, but she still had this badass side of her that she could unleash when needed. So she had both that duality, which is a cool thing to see.
I thought the first movie is one of the best I've ever seen at giving all the principal characters their moments. And each one of them, the husband and wife, the kids, even Jack, have that moment where they can do their thing, and they've grown and earned it, not just having it out of nowhere, to where it feels satisfying. And in the second movie, I don't think you can say that about almost anyone. And you know what's also weird to me? I think mind control can work in superhero settings, but it works better when it's a way to get to characters who have difficulty getting to otherwise. That's why it works with Superman, because it makes him interesting, because it's like, well, you can't really stop him per se. He's so strong and powerful. But what if you turn that and all of a sudden now he's going to go hog on everybody else, right? Well, I don't know if it works as well when, like Dave said, everybody is turned. It's like, okay, well, now you're just like, instead of having to come up with new villains or new people with powers to have them go up against, now it's just them, but they're evil, so you're not really rooting that hard against them, because you don't want the kids to kill Elastigirl. You just want her to get the stupid goggles off so she goes back to normal.
And it was, and again, even that was a missed opportunity, because I love stories where like something is happening to incapacitate main characters, and then like the few left behind. It's a trope that I absolutely love, and I was like, oh cool, this is gonna be so great. And then it's like the Deus Ex Machina with the car bothered me, and then like they resolve it really quickly and easily. Like they get the goggles off, I forget who, like that. And I go, this could have been really cool, but it just kind of feels rushed, and like, what do we do? I don't know. It was cool seeing Mr. Incredible trying to be a dad. Like, I liked that. I liked that Elastigirl did get cool things to do. It didn't work it's like the pieces never really came together, I guess.
Yeah. No, what happened was Jack is this all-powerful deity, and literally mind levitated the goggles off his mom's face. That's how that happened. So there's a problem with that.
You know, I have no problem with him fighting garbage animals in the front yard. But when I think back on Incredibles 2, that 4 or 5 minute scene is what I remember most, and that is not a good sign for the movie. Because while that's fun hijinks and all, that is a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
And you know what? To me, I think this is the same problem I have with Anchorman 2, where it's like it's trying to do some of the same beats as the original, but it's not doing them as well. And because I like the original movie so much, I hold the sequel on a higher curve than I might otherwise. But even so, it seems like it's lacking in a lot of ways compared to the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the original was very interesting commentary on like this larger thing, and then the domestic life came in the back. And this, I felt like the main commentary was like, look at this man and wife try to figure it out, and that's not interesting to me. I hate anything with men and with husbands and wives.
He's looking at his wife.
He's staring over his wife right at the moment.
Yes.
Hold your ring up high, Shaun.
It's black.
For the listeners, she just sits on the floor nearby while we're doing this. It is a little off-putting.
But it's like we have no, we love it because
now she's upset that I said that.
It's like we have this is like what it's going to be like when we open up to like Twitch. We're getting a sample.
Oh, that's good. And Dave, it should be noted that she's been nodding a lot during your points, even the ones that disagree with Shaun at times. So just know that's
probably
happening.
why, actually. But
yeah.
But that's what America's going to do anyway. So they're going to be like, yeah, I don't know what he said, but he disagreed with Shaun. So
like
it's fine.
You and her were very much simpatico on Finding Dory.
All right. Yes, I knew I liked your wife, Shaun.
So thank God for Toy Story 4, because if it wasn't for that, I would be quite the naysayer in part 2 of this series that we're doing. I love Toy Story 4. And it got off to a little bit of a rough start because I didn't really like the new character at first, or maybe ever. But everything else made up for that.
Yeah. I went into this movie not wanting to like it because I loved the ending of 3 so much. Like, seriously, the ending of 3 was like, you how are you going to improve on perfection? And they still did such a good job in this movie. Like, it was a really good... They somehow ended it so well for the toys with the arc with Andy, and then they ended it perfectly for the arc with Woody now.
I think the Toy Story series, whether intentional or not, it has certainly reached this point now, has gotten to the point where Pixar is always good about characters with heart, other than a couple notable exceptions. We've talked about them now. Because they have this built-in nostalgia factor with these, whether or not you had any of these specific toys, you know what it was like when you were a kid and you had things you were attached to, even if they weren't necessarily toys themselves. Mm-hmm. So by having them in these situations where they care about each other a lot and there's all this heart, it always seems to resonate in a way that these other ones don't. I think that's the difference because, like, I like Cars 1 and 3. I'm not like, yeah, I remember that time I befriended a race car. That was great. I was awesome when I had a NASCAR car growing up, and I was super best friends with them. Whereas these just always pull up these feelings you have as a kid, whether you're currently a kid or you used to be. So for me, 4 is just more the same with that. Maybe more so than ever because of some of these other themes they're tackling now about separation and trying to find your place when you've lost it now after the ending of 3. I said it in the first part. This is my favorite Pixar movie. And I walked out of the theater thinking, wow, I really liked that. And I thought, well, I got to give it time. I just saw it. It's been 15, 20 years since I saw some of the early ones. I'll sit on it and think about it. It's been 2 years. It is still my favorite Pixar movie.
I think it's interesting, too, that El Camino came out, the Breaking Bad movie. And you're like, this is very enjoyable, extremely well done. Did it need to happen? Probably not. But, it was good. I liked it. This movie comes out and you took the definitive ending for 3 and you can say, did it need to happen? Maybe, maybe not, but it's now the new definitive ending because it's the next step in that journey that we all probably should have seen coming, but we didn't. We were like, this is perfect. It's the fairy tale ending, but it's okay, well, what's next after these fairy tale endings? How do these characters find their next step in their journey? And it tackled that. And I didn't it was so obvious, but it gave me the ending that I didn't think that I needed. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I feel a little hypocritical after complaining about an octopus driving a car, or I guess a septopus driving a car, when the toys are taking over the car to such an extent that they can't even move. They're getting arrested, basically. To really throw your suspension... The unicorn, Dad's gonna get arrested, which I don't understand, why he was so excited about that.
But Dave, I would say to you, to your point, even though this is gonna help you, fish are toys being alive. That's not a real thing. So if you can buy that they can come alive, then you can buy a lot of stuff. Yeah. Fish are things.
Yeah,
and they don't drive cars,
correct.
And we know that. So that's, I think, the struggle.
And it's and I don't know, if I was that dad in that situation, I would get rid of every single toy she ever had because I think that shit's haunted. That's terrifying. Buzz is just going off in the corner, making a whole bunch of noises because he keeps pushing his button. All of a sudden, I can't drive. The GPS is screaming at me to make sure I turn. No, I'm getting rid of every toy you have, and I'm burning them all because that's terrifying.
And the RV in case it's haunted. Everything is burning. Exactly. Maybe the family too. It's unclear. If you get driven crazy enough, anything's fair game.
This is The Shining at this point. I've just gone crazy, murder my family because they've driven me crazy.
Just knock an axe through the wall of the RV and then burst your head in and start eating the toys one by one. It's fine. It's a horror movie, but it's fine. Yeah. What works so well for 4 for me, as I look back on it in retrospect, is it's the right ratio of characters. And what I mean by that is, at this point, I don't need 50 minutes of Buzz Lightyear. I just don't. He's pretty well established. It's not that I don't want him around. I like Buzz Lightyear. I'm happy to have him along as a cohort. I don't need him to be a co-star. Mm-hmm. I like Jesse quite a bit. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a little more Jesse than we did here. But overall, I don't need Jesse as a main vehicle at this point. Woody has always been the pathos of this series. And because of that, because you can always identify with him, even when he's being kind of an asshole, and he has moments in all 4 movies where he's being kind of a dick, you understand it's because he cares too much. which is always a character you can get behind. It's the ones who care too little and are assholes that you always end up resenting because you're like, why would I root for you?
Yeah.
Shaun mentioned one of those examples earlier. So to me, having a very Woody-focused story, I was like, you know what? I'm absolutely on board for this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What does that mean for 5? I don't know. Are we following the Woody side? Or are we following the
Is there
other
a 5?
25 chuckle
5?
fucks?
Or
I hope not.
I don't know if there's one announced yet, but
I say I hope not, but I would have said that about 4, and it was great. So I think they've earned a shot.
yeah.
I haven't seen anything about one being in development, but I have to feel like it's inevitable here at some point, even if it takes a few years, if they have a story that they feel like is worth telling.
I loved Keanu Reeves' little Daredevil character. He was great.
Yep.
I even liked. I've heard mixed things on this. I did enjoy the Key and Peele. I thought the joke that went on for way too long was hilarious.
I agree.
They follow the woman to her house.
Yeah.
They were so funny. That whole movie, they were so funny.
That was great. That was great.
The funniest movie in the series, I think, and I don't think it's that close.
I would agree with you.
I didn't like Buzz's seemingly stupid nature. He's like, oh, there's an inner voice. Let me listen to my voice that's on the inside as he keeps pushing it. Like, come on, Buzz, you're smarter than that. Like
I'm going to make the argument that
intelligent.
I'm going to say he is not smarter than that and has never been smarter than that.
Okay.
I see where you're coming from on it. Don't get me wrong. You're like, you think he would have learned. He's been doing this for a few years now, and he's a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
But no, it turns out he's incapable of learning. He's just like, he just doesn't have the naivete he did out of the box. He's just still clueless.
Yeah, it's the commentary on Tim Allen overall.
I didn't want to go there.
I did.
I don't want our Tim Allen fans to tune out.
Whatever. I think we've lost our Tim Allen fans, that demographic.
Home Improvement was a fine show.
Home Improvement was good, but I think the people who watch Last Man Standing probably don't listen to our podcast
Probably
anymore.
Not a big crossover on that Venn
No,
diagram.
they've probably given up. The last thing on the list is the one that just came out. Of course, its release was disrupted by the coronavirus, so it's difficult to gauge this by the traditional metrics to begin with. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know that I'm in a huge rush to, but Dave has, so we can at least talk about it a bit, and Shaun and I can kind of chime in, and that's Onward.
To me, I've heard people say that if you had an older brother growing up, it really hits you hard. Because like if you had, if there's a family where you had, just you and an older brother, it hits you really hard in that sense. Me, I didn't have an older brother. I never had a brother. I only have a sister. This movie to me was, I don't know how to describe it other than almost pointless. There was just like, oh yeah, they want to see their dad. I get that. Oh look, there's magic. Oh, they screwed it up. Adventure time, and something happens where then they concludes like. There was nothing to me that made me feel like that heartstring tug that the movie wanted me to feel the entire time. So
I don't think so here's the thing. I don't like movies that have that prerequisite of, well, if you happen to go to this event in 1965, this movie was just great. It's like, okay, how much of the population has an older brother? Like, not a lot, and so that's kind of a non-starter for me. I didn't think it looked that interesting. I thought they actually revealed, maybe you can tell me if this is the case or not, I thought they revealed a lot through the trailers, and nothing in the trailers I thought looked particularly good.
It was just such a weird concept movie where they're like, here's this fantasy land where magic existed, but magic was really hard, so they invented science, so magic went away, and it's like, but have you seen the magic spells that they're doing where they're walking across an invisible bridge with magic and they're conjuring fire from nothing and bringing people back to life? Magic wouldn't go away. It just maybe wouldn't be used as much. There'd be a mix of science and magic in this, the hypothetical society, but magic wouldn't disappear.
Yeah,
that concept is flawed.
It just didn't seem that clever either. Like the jokes that they were making in the trailers, like the unicorns being like the rabid like dog or raccoons or whatever, and like the pixie. I don't know. It's just like I felt this way that I felt about those movies, those satire movies, like the one about Scary Movie's one of them, and then the disaster movie was another where it's like, think of the first joke that comes to your head. All right, put it on paper.
Yes.
That's what I got from this movie.
Yeah.
Two quick points from me. One is I think Pixar movies have always struggled with trailers. I'm not saying there's been zero that have had bad ones, but because they are all about those like tug at the heartstrings moments. That's something that's very difficult to cram into a 30-second bit. So there's a lot of movies where I've been like not interested looking at it in theaters and loved them later. Inside Out being a principal example. No, again, how the hell do you put that concept in a 30-second trailer? So I think that's tough for them. So I'm not necessarily surprised. I had the same feelings as you as about the Onward trailer though, where I was like, I like both the leads quite a bit, so I was kind of hoping I was going to like this more. Maybe I will when I watch it. I doubt it. The second point is, from what I understand of the movie, which is just watching the CinemaSins version of it, which is not a fair way to go through it, I'll admit, it seems like there are a lot of stolen references in this movie from other pop culture bits, a lot more than most Pixar movies have done, and a lot of rules about magic that just don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, CinemaSins really railed on that, and I mean, it's their job is to be really harsh on movies, but they're not wrong.
Sure. And that's the problem. Is like, yeah, it's a weird way to look at a movie through the lens of, because like you said, it's meant to be this hypercritical, almost to the point of jokes. But I also saw some scenes that were not, before he actually commented on them and stuff, where I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. So like, yeah, that doesn't look like it's all that good. Like this feels like a swing and a miss to me.
Yeah.
I thought Soul looked really cool.
I agree.
And I liked the approach of like, what's this movie about? It's kind of hard to tell because the trailer is being intentionally sort of vague, and I think that it works for it. It seems neat. But God knows when we're gonna get that movie now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely will want to see Soul. It's weird. You guys talk about trailers. I never watched trailers, so it's interesting hearing you guys say how Pixar's bad at trailers. I don't know. I have no idea if they are. I just kind of watched the movie. So
there are definitely some cases too where it's a question of how many times you see the trailer. If you're going to the movies regularly enough, you might have seen the Onward trailer like a dozen times.
Yeah.
Because it's a big enough release and it branches through so many different genres that like you're definitely going to see it in all the kids' movies, but you'll probably see it in the previews for the adult movies too. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, you're like, okay, it's that stupid joke. There's that unicorn. It's a dog. And maybe you resent it more for that. I don't know.
It's true.
I never saw a single. I don't know if I saw a trailer for Toy Story 4. I might have watched the one that like went out on social media. I never saw it in theaters, but that was also not a movie I needed to be sold on. Something like a new IP like Onward. I'm like, you're gonna have to get me hooked because I don't know what I'm going into.
So we just went through about 22 movies, 23, 22. Marvel has about, I think, 23. We should do that next, but Dave, you have a bit of homework to do.
I have
how many have you seen now? 4?
20. I have 20 movies to go.
Okay. I would want you to. We haven't seen all the Pixar movies, and it was okay. We've seen most of them. I would want you to at least see most of these. I would say if you have watched 16 or 17, that's a good point to start.
Okay, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 and Iron Man.
That's fine. Those are 3 that should be in the list. We've actually kind of talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
But there's a few that you can absolutely skip. Iron Man 2. If you don't want to watch that, that's fine. We're not going to talk about it much.
That's fair. Yeah, you can skip that one.
Thor 1. I don't even know if you should watch it at all, to be honest. Or 2.
Don't watch 2.
Definitely don't watch 2.
Definitely don't watch 2.
I don't even know if you need to watch 1. I feel like you could start with Thor Ragnarok and get a good sense of what that character's about. And Thor Ragnarok's really good. Mm-hmm. So we could get you by on maybe 15. I think Shaun's number is right around the right point there.
There's actually a skit in Ragnarok where Matt Damon is playing some of the gods in the Pantheon, and they're recapping some of the earlier movies. Like the event, not on purpose, but they're like, a play about the great victories of whatever, Asgard. That might be enough.
Got it.
The cameos you get from time travel shenanigans in the last 2 Avengers movies are more than enough to cover the first 2 Thor movies.
There we go.
I don't mind the first one, but if you're looking to cut, you can probably cut that one.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I was going to say the Brave, but that sounds like I'm putting it down. What's slightly better than Brave? Cars 3? Like the Cars 3 of the Marvel list, where it's like, you can watch it. It's good. Do you need to? No. So that's maybe one we can do. Yeah.
We need to give a quick top 3 at least.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So I've got mine. I don't know if you guys need to think about it. I've got mine already written out.
I closed the list and I can't get it back in an easy way now. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Nope, I've got mine here. So my top 3 in order are Toy Story 3, Finding Nemo, and Coco. Toy Story 3 gets me every time. I think Toy Story 3 and Coco get me at the heartstrings, like make me want to cry type of thing. Finding Nemo, just top to bottom. I loved that movie. Just the visuals, this whole story, I loved it. So that's the top 3 for me. I'll go bottom 3 after you guys give your top 3.
I think my top 3 is Incredibles, Finding Nemo, and Toy Story 3. Although I really like Toy Story 4, I think Toy Story 3 just a little bit takes the edge for me. I don't think I'm missing anything there. I liked Up a lot, but we really brought it up where like the beginning is good, and overall the movie is. I think overall the movie is solid, but it does lose a bit in weird dog shenanigans. So that's fair.
Yep. Chris?
I mean, Toy Story 4. Is Inside Out my number 3? It's Toy Story 4 and The Incredibles for sure, and then it's a question of either Toy Story 3 or Inside Out. I'm going to put Inside Out so I don't put 2 Toy Stories up there. It's very close. Toy Story 3 is absolutely 4th.
So then our list is something of like The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Toy Story 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is just my list.
If you're doing
but...
aggregate points, yeah, that's...
yeah. And just for fun, I'll tell you, 4, 5, and 6 were Toy Story 2, Toy Story, and Toy Story 4. So I liked
Toy Story. I mean, it's weighted in Toy Story because they're always so good.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Bottom 3. This is fun. I'm going to start from the bottom on mine. Worst ever is Cars 2 because it just is. Second worst is Brave because I never saw it, but it couldn't be worse than Cars 2. And third worst is Onward. Just like I talked about it, I did not like it at all.
The only one I'm going to put here that's fair is Monsters University. Whenever I watch Cars 2, which will probably be never, it's probably going to go there. But I don't feel right not having seen it, putting it at the bottom. But Monsters U on the bottom for sure.
Yeah, Cars 2 is absolutely last. It's honestly, I don't want to say one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but relative to expectations, it is. And I didn't have high expectations for Cars 2 because I didn't love Cars 1. But I'm like, it's Pixar. It'll have to be decent, right? No. God, there's nothing on this list that I really hate like I do Cars 2. I think Brave's down there, unfortunately. Because I look at the other ones on this list and I'm like, man, something about all these movies spoke to me. No, you know what? I'll put Bugs Life second.
Is
and
down
then
there,
Bugs Life second, then Brave 3. That's my bottom 3.
That's fair. Yep, I think all of us have some sort of combination of Bugs Life, Brave, Cars 2. I have Good Dinosaur in my bottom 5.
The Good Dinosaur's worse than Brave. I have to think that that's the case.
Yeah, it probably is. I haven't seen Brave, so...
My hottest take is that Finding Dory is probably like 5th from bottom.
Yes,
it is. Way down there for me.
Way down there. I have Finding Dory as... I wrote this wrong. It is right above Good Dinosaur, so...
Yeah, which is exactly my 4th, so...
Yeah.
All right, well, that is our ranking of all the Pixar movies. Of course, for some reason, if you happen to get through this whole part, you didn't know about it. We did part 1 2 episodes ago, so you can go check that out, go through the whole journey with us. Or if you just got to the end of this one, you can be like, I'm going to go listen to the first half. Either way.
Those are the better ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones in the first half, too, though. I mean, we talked about Toy Story 3. That's always a winning combination.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a plan for the next episode yet. We'll figure it out on the fly. We got all sorts of things cooking. Maybe Dave will have beaten Red Dead 2 by then. Probably
Maybe
not.
Dave will do my homework.
I have it written down right here. Your homework is written on my phone right here.
All right, next time. Homework.
We'll go through real quick before we do our basketball recording, and we'll make sure we curate the list for you. I think we've done it in the past, but we'll do it right now so you have it handy.
Okay.
All right, so that's the end of the episode. In between shows, you can find us at objectionnetwork.com for some posts, youtube.com/objectionnetwork for some videos, and social media is dead. Let it long be buried. See you next time.